In March 2023, one of the biggest beauty influencers in the entire world held up this unopened PR package for our brand new skincare line.
Oh, I remember this. It was a whole thing.
It was massive. He just, stared into the camera, complained about the gray packaging, called the founder a Nepo baby, and then, and this is the crazy part, he threw the entire box into an outdoor garbage can.
Yeah, just completely trashed it before even trying the product,
Right. And he tells his millions of followers that she, quote, doesn't even deserve a pink trash can.
which is pretty harsh, to say the least.
Very harsh. But, okay, fast forward to the present day. That exact same brand gets acquired, launches globally in Sephora, and suddenly that exact same influencer is releasing these highly technical, glowing reviews.
Oh, yeah. Completely reversed his stance.
Literally giving their formulas his highest official seal of approval. So we really have to ask what actually changed here. Did the chemistry get like an overnight miracle upgrade, or did the money just get way too big to ignore?
Well, I mean, that is the ultimate question of the modern beauty industry, right?
Right.
Are you buying a physical product, or are you just buying the digital narrative attached to it?
Exactly.
Because in this landscape, separating the actual chemical reality from the parasocial hype, it requires a really sharp scalpel.
And that is exactly what we are doing today. So welcome to this deep dive, custom tailored just for you.
Mhm.
Today's mission is to cut straight through that massive social media hype, the intense celebrity drama, and of course, the wildly polarized reviews surrounding Hailey Bieber's skincare brand, Rhode.
And we really have a massive stack of material today to get through.
We do. We're pulling from real-time TikTok commentary, heavily debated Reddit skincare threads, professional beauty breakdowns from outlets like Marie Claire, and we even have this really fascinating academic analysis of how the influencer economy actually functions.
Which is such an incredible cross-section of data. I mean, it basically maps out the entire life cycle of how modern beauty brands are manufactured, torn down by the internet, and then, if they manage to survive, how they get institutionalized.
Yes, exactly. So whether you are, a beauty enthusiast trying to figure out if this stuff is actually worth your hard-earned money, or you're just insanely curious about how celebrity brands manipulate the modern market, we are going to extract the exact insights you need.
And no information overload, we promise.
Right. So to really understand how this brand operates, we kind of have to start at the bottom of that garbage can.
We really do. You
Yeah.
just cannot evaluate Rhode's initial market position without looking at the cultural environment it launched into.
Okay, let's unpack this, because before we can even talk about the chemical formulas like the peptides, the ceramides, all of that, we have to look at the intense internet drama that effectively forced Rhode into the spotlight.
The digital culture war.
Yeah, the digital culture war.
Right.
Let's rewind to early 2023. There is this massive, inescapable feud, or perceived feud, involving Hailey Bieber and Selena Gomez. And we are looking at this completely impartially, strictly as a phenomenon of the digital landscape.
Right, we're not taking sides here.
Absolutely not. But looking at the academic analysis in our stack, the internet algorithm essentially forced beauty influencers to pick sides in this feud if they wanted to maintain their engagement metrics.
Yeah, it became a digital mandate. I mean, the algorithm heavily rewards high conflict content.
Oh, for sure.
So if you were a reviewer, you couldn't just, pump out a video talking about the viscosity of a moisturizer. You had to declare a personal allegiance.
Right. The actual physical product became entirely secondary to the ethical or social positioning of the person reviewing it.
Exactly. Which brings us to what you were calling the Jeffree Star paradox earlier.
Yes, because he drops this viral TikTok review in March 2023, and he explicitly declares, in this house, we are Team Selena. He shows a promotional photo of Hailey, says she literally looks like she wants to die, and then executes that famous garbage can toss.
Which is just peak internet theater.
It really is, and it didn't stop there. He goes on the Chicks in the Office podcast, refers to the brand as Rhode Pest Control, and gives it a 4 out of 10 rating. Meanwhile, he conveniently gives Selena's Rare Beauty an 8.5 out of 10.
Which really highlights the aesthetics of rejection.
Mhm.
It's highly performative. Throwing an unopened box away isn't a product review, It's a theatrical performance designed to harvest clicks from an already hyperpolarized audience.
Right. But here is the massive pivot. Fast forward to the 2025-2026 era. Rhode undergoes a massive ownership transition.
A huge one.
Yeah. ELF Beauty acquires them. Hailey sells the company, and Rhode gets prime shelf space in Sephora.
The big leagues.
Exactly. And almost instantly, Jeffree Star releases these structured, deeply technical reviews praising the brand's peptide formulations. He starts giving products like the glazing milk and the lip tints his official Jeffree Star approved seal.
It's wild.
It is like a bitter high school rivalry magically turning into a seamless corporate merger.
The merger analogy is honestly spot on because that shift was entirely driven by market realities. I mean, this perfectly illustrates the maturation timeline of celebrity brands.
That's a
Well, initially, a brand's value in the digital space is heavily tied to its founder. It thrives, or it suffers, based on founder-centric controversies because that's what drives online traffic.
right. But I have to push back on this a little bit. Is this a genuine change of heart about the skincare? Did ELF Beauty come in and miraculously fix the formula behind the scenes? Or is this just, professional survival because Rhode is now too big of a retail giant to ignore?
Oh, it's overwhelmingly the latter.
Really?
Yeah. As a brand achieves institutional retail success like a global Sephora rollout, the landscape changes entirely. Professional critics have to pivot from performative personal attacks to objective chemical evaluations if they want to preserve their own analytical authority.
That makes a lot of sense.
Think about it. If a product is dominating sales on a Sephora shelf, a reviewer looks completely out of touch or just unhinged if they're still throwing it in a trash can over a 2-year-old internet feud.
Right. They just look bitter.
Exactly. To survive as a relevant critic, you eventually have to review the actual chemistry.
The digital noise just has to quiet down so the physical product can speak. Which leads us into the actual science of Rhode. If critics and millions of consumers eventually started praising this stuff, what exactly is in it?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right. We need to look past the influencer theater and examine the actual ingredients behind Rhode's famous glazed donut aesthetic.
And when you look at the chemical profile, their formulation philosophy is incredibly specific.
Yeah, I was looking at the breakdowns.
Rhode basically operates on a minimalist, barrier-first approach. It is entirely engineered around heavy hydration and protecting the outermost layer of your skin.
Let's get into the mechanics of that, actually, because looking at the ingredient breakdowns from the dermatological reviews, we are seeing some major heavy hitters across the whole line.
Oh, absolutely.
We're talking peptides, ceramides, niacinamides, squalane, hyaluronic acid, and these really rich botanical fats like murumur butter and cupusu.
Right. And to understand why they use those, you have to look at how they function biologically.
Okay, lay it on me.
So ceramides, for example. Think of your skin cells as bricks. Ceramides are the mortar holding those bricks together.
Oh, I like that visual.
Yeah, they keep the moisture trapped inside and keep environmental pollutants out. Then you have peptides, which are essentially cellular messengers. They signal your skin to produce more collagen, which gives it that plumpness.
Makes sense. And what about the squalane and the butters?
Those act as an occlusive layer. They literally sit on top of the skin like a sealant, locking all that moisture in place.
Okay, so it's basically a hydration lock.
Exactly.
But here's where it gets really interesting. When you look at the entire product line, there is a glaring structural gap, like a complete and total lack of actives.
Yes, that is the defining characteristic of the brand, and it is exactly what causes such polarized reactions from consumers.
For those who might not be deep into skincare chemistry, what do we actually mean by actives? Because the breakdowns are very clear here. Rhode contains absolutely no retinoids, no AHAs, no BHAs, no vitamin C, and crucially, no daily SPF. So, if it doesn't have active corrective ingredients, aren't people just paying like $20 to $38 for a basic moisturizer? Is the glazed look just incredibly well-marketed grease?
It's a fair question. Think of actives like a high-intensity workout for your face.
Okay.
Ingredients like retinoids or chemical exfoliants like AHAs, they actually change the cellular structure of your skin.
Right. They do the heavy lifting.
Exactly. They force cell turnover, they clear out pores, they actively correct hyperpigmentation. Rhode doesn't do any of that.
Interesting.
Rhode is just the expensive, incredibly comfortable sweatpants you put on after the workout.
Oh, I love that. The sweatpants of skincare.
Right. It is purely cosmetic comfort and aesthetic hydration.
But that creates a massive problem depending on who is wearing those sweatpants, right?
Oh, a huge problem. This lack of actives makes the brand heavily dependent on your specific genetic skin type.
So who does it work for?
If you have normal to dry skin, products like the glazing milk, which relies on beta-glucan and magnesium to soothe inflammation, and their barrier butter, they work perfectly.
Because dry skin needs that extra help.
Exactly. They create this flawless, dewy glass skin finish because dry skin desperately needs that artificial mortar to hold it together.
But if you have oily or acne-prone skin, it sounds like putting on those thick sweatpants is a terrible idea.
It can be a complete disaster, honestly. The dermatological reviews point out that Rhode uses very dense lipid matrices.
Like what?
For example, the coconut alkanes found in the glazing milk, or the heavy shea butter in the barrier cream.
Yeah.
Coconut alkanes are synthetic oils that create a smooth, spreadable texture. But they are highly comedogenic for a lot of people.
Meaning they severely clog pores.
Yes. They trap your skin's natural sebum beneath that heavy barrier. So for someone with acne-prone skin, slathering on a dense, non-active lipid layer is basically just incubating a persistent breakout.
That sounds awful. And because Rhode doesn't have those corrective actives, users who actually want to treat their acne or their dark spots or fine lines, they're forced to look elsewhere.
They have to mix and match.
Right. They have to layer Rhode over active treatments from other, more clinical brands. But looking at the skincare subreddits right now, users frequently complain that doing this leads to product pilling.
Ugh, pilling is incredibly frustrating.
Just to clarify, that's when the skincare literally rolls off your face in little grainy balls, right?
Exactly.
Why does that even happen?
It's a chemical clash. When you layer heavy, occlusive silicones or dense butters over certain water-based active serums, the formulas just repel each other.
Oh, like oil and water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They can't absorb, so the friction of you rubbing them in just aggregates the product into those little pills. It really shows the limitation of Rhode's ecosystem.
So it really functions strictly as a maintenance and glow brand, not a treatment brand.
Correct.
What's fascinating here is that it proves there is a massive, highly profitable market for aesthetic hydration, even if it requires the consumer to outsource their actual dermatological needs like cell turnover or sun protection to completely different companies.
Precisely. It is cosmetic skincare. And because its effectiveness is so entirely dependent on individual skin biology, you start to see massive variance in the product reviews.
Well, let's break down those specific products that dominate the reviews, the hits, the misses, and how competitors are actively weaponizing Rhode's physical flaws.
Let's do it.
Let's start with the undisputed hits.
The products that consistently score the highest across every platform are the peptide lip tints and treatments.
Yes, the tinted shades like Jelly Bean, Pretzel, and Salty Tan.
Great names, honestly.
They really are. Reviewers note they are deeply, genuinely hydrating, largely thanks to the Cupusu and Babasu in the formula.
Right, those botanicals melt at body temperature, creating a really nice slip on the lips.
And the Pineapple Refresh Cleanser gets a lot of love, too. It utilizes polyglutamic acid.
Which is a fascinating ingredient. Think of it like a microscopic sponge that can hold up to 5,000 times its own weight in water.
5,000? Wow.
It sits on the surface of the skin and draws moisture in, which is why reviewers praise the cleanser for being non-stripping. It cleanses without tearing down that delicate moisture barrier we just talked about.
But the misses in the lineup are equally well documented. And I think they really reveal the challenges of trying to scale a viral TikTok brand into physical reality.
They really do.
Let's go back to those popular lip treatments for a second. Because the biggest complaint that comes up repeatedly in the Reddit threads is that they develop a grainy, crystallized texture over time.
Yes, the gradiness.
People are pulling them out of their bags a month after buying them, and the smooth texture is completely ruined. What is actually happening in the tube there?
It comes down to temperature and stability and the melting points of the ingredients.
Okay.
When a formula uses natural plant waxes and heavy oils, they have different freezing and melting thresholds. If that lip balm sits in a hot car, or even just a warm pocket, the waxes melt.
Right.
When they cool back down, they don't always bind back together seamlessly with the oils.
Mm-hmm.
The harder waxes solidify faster, creating those little granular crystals you feel on your lips. So it's a stability issue.
And then there's the Pocket Blush, which seems to be the ultimate case study in product design clashing with aesthetic marketing.
Oh, the blush rollout was highly scrutinized. They released these really popular trendy shades, Piggy, Sleepy Girl, Toasted Teddy.
Again, great marketing.
Amazing marketing. And while the pigment load is high, the functional criticisms are severe.
First of all, the packaging itself, it's literally called a pocket blush, but users are quick to point out that the bulky, chunky plastic design absolutely does not fit in a standard pocket.
No, it's huge, right?
It's aesthetically pleasing on a vanity, but practically frustrating. But the bigger issue is the chemical base. It utilizes a white titanium dioxide base. Why is that a problem?
Well, titanium dioxide is incredibly common in cosmetics and sunscreens, right? It's a mineral that bounces light away. In a blush, it provides opacity, making the color pop in the pan.
Okay, that sounds like a good thing.
In the pan, yes. But on human skin, especially deeper melanated skin tones, that white base immediately reflects light in a way that reads as ashy or chalky.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it creates a gray cast beneath the pigment, which severely limits the product's inclusivity.
And on top of that, beauty reviewers note that the blush fades incredibly quickly unless you lock it down with a heavy powder.
Yep.
But wait, if you cover a dewy blush in matte powder, doesn't that completely ruin the quick on-the-go glazed vibe they're selling in the first place?
It entirely negates the marketing hook.
Which brings us to the dupe market. Because where there is a flaw in a viral product, there is an opportunistic competitor ready to strike.
Always. The market has rapidly compressed the product life cycle.
It is ruthless efficiency.
It really is. Competitors don't just mimic the color anymore, they reverse engineer the flaws.
Exactly. Look at the Glam Story Pop Tide Cream Blush that blew up on TikTok Shop. It launched for $15 compared to Rhode's $24. But they didn't just blindly copy the formula.
No, they improved it.
They actively engineered it to fix Rhode's exact problems. They formulated it with cooler undertones, a higher pigment load, and firmer cosmetic waxes to fix the longevity issue.
Which solves the fading problem.
Exactly. And crucially, they removed the titanium dioxide to fix the ashiness on deeper skin tones. It's almost like Rhode is releasing open source software. They drop the beta version, the internet identifies all the bugs, and then these dupe brands instantly drop the patch update and sell it for cheaper.
That's a brilliant way to look at it, because in software, a bug patch is a survival tactic. And what the rapid duplication process shows us is that influencer-backed brands can no longer rely solely on their aesthetic design or the founder's vibe.
All right.
3 or 4 years ago, a celebrity could sell a subpar product purely on their internet clout. Today, the market moves way too fast.
It's instant feedback.
Yes. A brand's survival depends on fixing those physical design flaws, like the grainy lip balms and chalky blushes, and achieving absolute retail dominance. You can't just be a TikTok trend anymore. You have to become a reliable commodity.
Which sets up our final piece of the puzzle perfectly. Because despite the grainy lip balms and these aggressive dupe competitors patching their software bugs, Rhode hasn't failed.
Not at all.
In fact, they transitioned from a fleeting TikTok trend into a massive retail powerhouse. So how did they solidify this status?
By moving from the digital shelf to the physical shelf. The acquisition by ELF Beauty paved the way for institutionalization.
The expansion is staggering. The retail breakdowns detail Rhode's entry into Sephora across the US, Canada, and the UK. And this wasn't just a quiet, corner display rollout.
Yeah, it was massive.
This represented the largest skincare brand introduction in Sephora's North American history.
Think about the scale of that.
But I'm looking at this expansion, and part of me feels like it's completely counterintuitive. Rhode built its entire empire on limited digital drops and artificial scarcity. If you want it, you have to wait on an email list for months.
Right, the hype model.
Yeah. So why abandon the scarcity model that built their hype in the first place?
Because artificial scarcity only works while you have peak cultural attention. Hype has a very short half-life.
That's true.
Sephora changes the entire dynamic of how a consumer interacts with a brand. It brings necessary physical transparency.
Right. On TikTok, you're buying a heavily filtered aesthetic. You're trusting ring lights.
Exactly.
At Sephora, the ring lights are gone. You can physically pick the box up and read the ingredient list. You can read diverse, verified purchase reviews, not just influencer hype.
And most importantly, you can physically test the product.
Yes. You can test it on the back of your hand to see if that titanium dioxide looks ashy on your specific skin tone, or if the barrier butter feels too heavy and comedogenic for your pores. It completely mitigates the risk of buying into pure social media hype.
It forces accountability. The product has to stand entirely on its own merit in terrible fluorescent aisle lighting without Hailey Bieber there to sell the lifestyle.
And it seems like they are actively trying to build a foundation that outlasts that initial celebrity hype cycle.
How so?
Well, the financial reporting in our stack highlights their broader community impact, like their $2.6 million contribution to organizations supporting moms and caregivers.
That's significant.
It is. That kind of philanthropy builds genuine institutional brand loyalty that goes way beyond just a teenager wanting to achieve the clean girl aesthetic.
So true.
So zooming out, What does this all actually mean for the industry? Does this prove that in today's beauty market, you absolutely need a viral celebrity moment to get your foot in the door, but you need an ironclad physical retail strategy to actually stay in the building?
Without a doubt. What we are looking at is the textbook maturation of a modern brand.
Yeah.
The personal influence, the digital culture wars, the performative trash can videos, all of that initial digital chaos is systematically replaced by the objective realities of retail space.
It grows up.
Exactly. It ultimately becomes about supply chain consistency, chemical stability, and earning in-store consumer trust. The celebrity founder acts as a massive billboard to get you attention, but the institution of Sephora is what gets you longevity.
It's incredible. We started today by talking about how a moisturizer isn't just a moisturizer anymore, it's a proxy war in murky digital waters. But the ultimate irony is that to actually survive and scale as a billion-dollar company, you eventually have to go right back to being just a really reliable moisturizer sitting on a shelf.
Exactly. The internet drama always fades. The physical product is the only thing left standing.
Which leaves us with a final, slightly provocative thought for you to mull over as you go about your day. What happens when a brand truly outgrows its celebrity?
That is the question.
Think about it. In 10 years, will Rhode survive purely on the structural merit of its peptide formulas and its Sephora shelf space? Or is it so inextricably tied to the 2020s glazed donut zeitgeist that it will inevitably fade when the next big aesthetic trend rolls around?
It's the ultimate test of formulation over fame.
It really is a very compelling question to watch play out in the market over the next decade.
Definitely.
And we want to hear exactly what you think about this. If you are watching us on YouTube, what's your take on celebrity skincare? Have you actually tried Rhode, or are you strictly team drugstore dupe? Let us know in the comments below.
We read them all, and honestly, the debates down there are often just as fascinating as the sources we cover.
It's always great to see the real-world application of these trends, so be sure to like this video, drop that comment, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another deep dive. Keep asking questions, keep looking past the hype, and we will see you next time.